This is a confusing piece of legislation. I mean, you look at the exceptions that are listed here. None of the following is considered an unconscionably excessive price. 1, a price that is substantially related to an increase in the cost of manufacturing, obtaining, replacing, providing, or selling a good or service. Fantastic, wonderful, reasonable. But how do I know that that's true or not? How do I assess that? A more interesting question than how do I assess that is who assesses that? Because this bill gives inordinate power to 2 people, and 2 people only, 2 individuals. It gives supreme power, more power, to the governor of the state of Minnesota, who already, we've had demonstrated to us in recent years, has the capacity to unilaterally cancel democracy, tell us that we all get to live in our homes, we don't get to open our businesses, we can't send our kids to school. He just gets to decide that, one guy. And we accepted it. We went along with it. Now we're saying that on top of that, while he's got us in his peacetime emergency, he can also decide that we can't buy and sell according to our own judgment. We can't set our own prices for our own products. We're going to give him that power. We're also going to empower another member of the executive branch, the Attorney General. And he's the answer to my previous question. Who gets to decide whether or not a price is substantially related to an increase in the cost of manufacturing, obtaining, replacing, providing, or selling a good or service? Well, the AG does. He gets to decide by virtue of whether or not he comes after you, whether or not he pursues an action, whether or not he pursues $1,000 per transaction up to $25,000 per day. I had to double check that to make sure it was right. Per day, $25,000 per day. Wow. So, I'll end here, which is the moral premise of all of this. And I know this is definitely an idea that is not shared broadly, certainly not across party lines, but I hold it to be nonetheless true and accurate. You don't have the moral right to tell somebody what price their product or service can command in the market. You don't have that right. And the reason why you don't have that right is because you don't own that person. They don't belong to you. Their time doesn't belong to you. Their labor doesn't belong to you. The fruit of their labor doesn't belong to you. You don't get to command the terms on which they transact their time, their labor, their effort, their mind, their selves, their person. That's up to them. It's not up to you. So on top of a piece of legislation that doesn't work, doesn't function, can't be understood by smart people in this room, not even sure whether or not an amendment affects a particular end or not, can't tell by looking at plain language what it actually accomplishes, what it actually achieves. This is going to create, not only is it going to create confusion, not only is it going to create more fear and uncertainty during times where people are already operating under fear and uncertainty. We're going to pile more on top of it. The cherry on top of all of that is that it's fundamentally immoral to tell somebody that they cannot offer, not force. Nobody's saying you have to give me $200 for this gallon of water, but to offer. Hey, I drove this up here from Texas. I drove this here from California. It cost me a lot to get it here, but because I did that, it's here and it's available to you for the low, low price of whatever. You're telling somebody that they can't do that, and that is not a right that you have. Not as an individual, and not collectively. There isn't a number of people. There isn't an election certificate. There isn't a moral right that exists that gives you the ability, rightfully and morally, to tell somebody what price they can offer for the fruit of their labor. Please vote no.